Well, hello. Today we're talking about Lady Clementine by Marie Benedict. This right here, my first 5 stars of the year for historical fiction. Yes, absolutely. And Marie Benedict just earned herself an automatic buy. Anything this woman writes, I'll probably be buying it. Let's talk about it. So, I grew up in Europe, and the Churchills are a prominent figure in our psyche. They played a very important role in the political sphere when it comes to Europe and the way it looks today. Everyone likes to remind us that we'd probably be speaking German if it weren't for these guys. But that's besides the point. So let's talk about the book. We meet Lady Clementine, which rhymes with Josephine, on her wedding day. The book is set on diary entries, so it's an epistolary novel in that way. And honestly, this is the only way this book would work because she covers so much ground. There's the time span is between 1908 to 1945, because the focus of the book is, in fact, the two wars that Lady Clementine played a big part in. So I had heard people refer to her as Churchill's secret weapon before. I think it was a documentary by the BBC or something. I don't recall exactly. I just know that she was extremely important when it came to the diplomatic side of the political sphere. Geopolitics relies a lot in diplomacy, and she was a francophone. She was actually a French tutor. That's how she earned her living when she met Churchill, and so she spoke fluent French, and she used that quite a lot. If you know anything about politics in Europe, you know that French is one of the main languages when it comes to diplomacy. And the European Union in general. So the book is told in the first person in the present tense. As soon as I started reading it, I was like, oh my God, is this in the present tense? And I jumped on Goodreads and I checked the 1-star reviews, and yeah, there were people complaining. It's just such a new way of telling stories. I liked it. It just made me read really fast. For some reason, I think it kind of makes me run out of breath when I'm reading, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta keep going. Luckily, the chapters are quite short. I read this book in 3 days, less than 3 days. It was well told, and it was fast, and I loved it. The language itself reflects something that I thought was, like I said, the 1-star reviews were going to be about language because she took a lot of risks when it came to her lexicon, if you will. Not only did she try to mimic the way Churchill and Lady Clementine would have spoken, but she also used the present tense, which is very contemporary and a lot of readers aren't used to. But at one point, she used the word thespian, and I had never come across this word in a book before, and I'm so happy that it was there. It was hilarious. This is funny, perhaps a little funnier to me than it is to most people. Allow me to explain. I'm a huge Churchill fan. I don't think I talked about being in Europe, but I am a Churchill fan because of several reasons, and one of them is that I worked at a couple of events back in the war rooms, and Churchill, I used to look at him a lot for a while when I was in my 20s in London. But yes, the Churchill war rooms is mentioned in the book because, like I said, she focuses on the two wars. So yeah, she took a lot of risks when it came to the language that she told the story in, but I was here for it. I was here for the first person. I was here for the present tense. I was here for the flowery vocabulary, for the thespians and all, because that is exactly how Churchill would spoke. If you've read his books, which he has many, especially when it comes to history, the history of the English-speaking peoples, for example, you will see that he was a very conventional, well-spoken guy with a large vocabulary, which he was not afraid to use. So the book reflects that quite well. I thought that was good. It made them real, it made them 3D, and pretty much how I pictured it, how I pictured them to be. So that was good. I liked that. I liked everything about it, actually. But you know, let's digest slowly but surely. So now that we talked about her writing styles, let me talk a little bit about Marie Benedict herself. So Marie Benedict is a pen name. I don't know her real name. I just know that she's an American author who used to be a lawyer and became a writer and became an author. And actually, somebody in the comments asked a couple weeks ago, who gets to decide what goes down in history? And it was a rhetorical question because, of course, we were talking about historians and archaeologists and linguists. And yeah, the scholars and the academics kind of, you know, are tasked with telling us what happened in the past. But the truth is, history is told by those who are brave enough to do it, who have the courage to do it. Marie Benedict is here to show you that. Okay? Show us that. I really love the project. I really love the idea of what she's doing. She wrote about Henry Lemar. I think that's... there are a couple of books here in the back that she's written. And I already got the one about Henry Lemar. It's on its way because I'm going to read everything she writes from now on. Insta-buy. The Only Woman in the Room, it's called. And yeah, I'm really excited for that one. And I might go for the Other Einstein next. We'll see. But I did notice on Amazon when I was doing the preview read that she wrote the Only Woman in the Room in the past. Maybe she chose the present tense to show us exactly how life was, how perhaps me running out of breath was the desired effect she was going for here, was exactly what she was going for here, because Lady Clementine had quite a life. And she was there through it all. Churchill had a spectacular career. When they met, he was already kind of like a celebrity, a minor celebrity. And they met at a dinner party by a benefactor. They were both aristocrats, even though their family didn't have a lot of money. So this is one of the first things that they bonded. Okay, so actually, before we go any longer, let me warn you that this is based in history. Of course, this is a historical novel. These people existed. This romance existed. But I did learn a lot of things that I didn't know about and that perhaps aren't common knowledge. And I will consider them spoilers. So just skip to the next part of the video if you haven't read it yet and you don't like spoilers. Now, if you've read the book, or if you think that spoilers just enhance the experience, let's talk about this, because Churchill was touch her and you die kind of guy. Did you know that? He was a touch her and you die kind of guy. I didn't know this. So was this the greatest romance of the 20th century? Political romance? Possibly, possibly. At times, I was reminded of the Clintons, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, the political power couple. But let's get to that. So they meet and they get engaged and they get married within less than 6 months. Very quickly. They are smitten by each other right off the bat. Churchill loves that she's an independent, smart cookie, and she loves his ambition, and she is here for it. She understands that through him, she can make a difference. And I think that that was a prominent thing in their marriage, just their entire lives. She was in it to make a difference, not just to be a partner. That's a point that Marie Benedict makes throughout the book as well. So I think that their personal life for me is really where the spoilers lie. They had nicknames for each other. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but that's exactly what you think an aristocratic couple would call each other. Just cheesy and a bit off-putting. Marie Benedict kept using the nicknames throughout the book, which was a little odd. But anyway, so let's talk about the fascinating woman that was Lady Clementine Churchill. That's her maiden name, by the way. So they both had absent mothers and somewhat terrible fathers, and they bonded over that. Other than that, they bonded over politics most of the time. At times, she was a bit more liberal than he was. And she saved his life more than once. This is actually one of the things that I didn't know about. She literally saved his life a couple of times. I won't spoil it. I won't tell you everything because I want you to read it. But she saved them a couple of times. One of the great things I found out that I didn't know about was an article that Lady Clementine wrote defending a woman's right to vote. That just comes to show just how good of a writer she was on her own right. Another thing that I really liked about their romance was that Churchill at some point compared her to Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. I'm not sure Jane Austen was his favorite, but I think that was kind of implied. He was a really well-read guy, as many of you should expect, as you would expect. He used the word Rubicon in reference to the Roman Empire, which I believe he was also quite fond of. So they were real people, and they felt like real people. So I liked her portrayal of them. The bulk of the book really talks about the wars. It focuses on World War I and World War II. So Churchill's prominence had, like I said, a lot of high highs and a lot of low lows. And one of the first lows that the book really gave attention to, and as it should have, because it's one of the main blows of European history, was the Gallipoli campaign, which it doesn't call by the name that I'm used to. Everybody in Europe knows it as the Gallipoli campaign, but she calls it as the Dardanelles catastrophe, because it was a catastrophe with the strait between Greece and Turkey that Churchill was made a scapegoat for. He was blamed for it, despite not receiving the support that, would have taken for the military campaign to be successful. So that was the lowest point of his political career, and it was really in that moment that Lady Clementine, not only did she pick him up, but she worked her soft power and her network to get him back in the line. And she also advised him to go to the trenches. Churchill redeemed himself by doing the most unexpected thing an English aristocrat could do, which is give up his position as officer behind the desk and actually do the dirty work, boots on the ground. And while he was out in the trenches, she was doing the homework. She was doing the political work at home and working the home front, not just with the political party, but with the people, to make sure that Churchill's sacrifices didn't go unseen. and unnoticed. One of the main things that I could not have guessed, and grab you a brew for this one. Grab a hot brew because I'm going to spill the tea. So Churchill's boss, Lord Asquith, had a daughter who apparently was in love with Churchill, so much so that she apparently threw herself off a cliff on the day of his wedding, or the day before his wedding to Lady Clementine. But she didn't stop there. So I'm not going to tell you everything she did, but yeah, she does show up again a couple of times in the book. And I didn't know that. And I was like, ooh, gossip. Hot gossip. But yeah, that takes me to one of the main and probably one of the best little nuggets I got from this book. They tell you not to meet your heroes because they're not perfect. And of course, Churchill wasn't, and neither was Lady Clementine. In fact, she gets a lot of slack because of her motherly skills, or, I think a lot of it has to do with just misogyny and how women aren't supposed to have a job. But we're going to move on, and we're going to go back to what I was saying before. Churchill never cheated. So they had a solid marriage, it appears, a happy one. And unlike most prominent men who have women, Churchill never cheated. I thought that was cool. This is great romance. I wasn't expecting the romance. Really wasn't. That was a bonus. Really love that. But yeah, so the book focuses a lot on Lady Clementine's diplomatic front because she was really important when it came to that. Churchill wasn't as tactful as she was, neither was he as firm as she was. At some point, she, in French, has a little go at Charles de Gaulle because France was very close to falling to the Nazis, and if it wasn't because of the Free France movement led by Charles de Gaulle, Europe would not look the way it does right now. But yeah, so I thought that was one of the best parts of the book. And another prominent part of her diplomatic front was the Russia aid. She organized a enormous campaign to help the people of Russia, which of course helped secure those ties. And at a time when Stalin, Russia and Europe, it's always been a complicated, complex relationship. But yes, she was a champion for that, and she received multiple awards from the Soviet Union at the time for her humanitarian aid. And I thought that was great. I think that one of the things I should have learned in school is that she completely changed the infrastructure of the London shelters, which were really terrible. That's the only word to describe them. During the raids, the London Blitz, when London was being pounded. And I really loved this book. I just don't know how to express this without saying that so many times. I love the book. I really do. I think you should read it. I think if you're into historical fiction, or if you're into strong women, or if you're just into romance, great book. Absolutely great book. I think I've said everything I wanted to say. I think I said everything I wanted to say. They remain one of my heroes. He was an absolute genius when it came to military strategy and acumen, and she was a brilliant linguist and a diplomat in her own right. And I absolutely loved Marie Benedict's narrative. I think that she did them justice, and I'm hoping she'll do the same with Henry Lemar. I'm sure she will. But yes, thank you so much for staying till the end. If you like this video, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the future. I'll see you later. Bye.